willpower, the hidden muscle that must be developed daily. Now, yesterday we spoke about this. We started this process and we were speaking about the 5 ways to rapidly test your willpower and then build it. And I wanted to finish that off, and the reason why I split it into 2 was I didn't feel that I could do this justice in just one episode. I didn't think that it was enough to really dive into this. So yesterday we spoke about sauna and ice baths. Fucking classic ways to rapidly fucking test out where your willpower's at. To see A, how strong it is, B, how strong that fucking bitch voice is, and C, start building that muscle, because it's a muscle, and it's one that fatigues out, it's one that tires, it's not an infinite resource, it's a finite resource. And the classic example I always use to explain this to people is, why do you think you cave most frequently at night? Why do you think you cave most frequently when you're tired? Because you only actually have so much willpower per day, and you must refuel it. You must allow it time to refuel. That's why at the start of the day, it's best option to take on the things that are most difficult. They're the biggest changes for you, the things that are going to tax you the most, and try and limit the things that are going to tax you at nighttime. Things that you don't find simple should be should be put first, and the things that you find easy and a no-brainer should be done at the end of the day. And this will vary from person to person. Like, I was talking to one of my friends about it, and they were like, yours is backwards. Because for me now, after 300 plus days, working out is really simple. It's an ingrained process in me. It is something that is just normal for me. Like, it doesn't mean that it's always easy. It doesn't mean that it's always simple and straightforward, but it's part of who I am. It's part of my identity. I know that it's fucking getting done every single day. Yes, I do prefer to do it early in the day. Yes, I do prefer to start my day with my workouts. But if that doesn't happen, I know that I'm better off putting it at the end of my day and utilizing early in the day to do work or things that aren't as ingrained or things that I don't enjoy, so that I don't have to use as much willpower on them to get them done and muscle them across the line at the end of the day. But in terms of testing your willpower, as I said yesterday, sauna, ice bath, fucking amazing ones, because you are really quickly going to find out how strong that bitch voice is, how persuasive it is. You're going to start talking to that silver-tongued devil in your head and figure out how much that actually means to you, how much willpower you have to override that voice. So that's a really important way. And then the other 3 are fasting, lifting weights, and going for a weighted walk. And especially I find with the weighted walk, if you're going to do that in silence. So this is my preferred method. All right, so we'll go into the weighted walk next. You just get out there. You put 10% at least, minimum. Let me make that abundantly clear. Minimum 10% of your body weight on your shoulders. And you set a timer for 22 and a half minutes. You fucking go out as hard as you can. And then, this is an important factor because some people miss this, you have to make it back in 22 and a half minutes. This isn't just go out hard and then be like, oh shit, I slowed down because, I got tired. No, you have to make the return journey in the same time frame. On top of that, I don't want you to slow down your walk so that you can make it back. You need to go all out and then make it all the way back in the same time. It's about finding an extra gear in that. That's where that discipline, that grit, that determination, that willpower comes in. That you have to find that extra gear when you're in the hurt locker. And that's why I think it's a really, really great way to figure out how strong that willpower is, to test yourself on it. Because if you do this properly, and especially if you set the standard at where you're at, so I'm now at 30 kilos, that's what I use for my weighted walks, which is about 33% of my body weight. All right, so that's where I'm currently at on that. And I'm trying to elevate that. So that's what I need to do. That's what it takes to get into the hurt locker. That's what it takes to test the willpower. It's about those 30 kilos to really push the limits of my body. Because I've been doing this for a long period of time now, over 300 days. But you'll find out, and I think this one and the weights is a very good of that longer term bitch voice. So that's why I used the 5 as an example, because ice bath is the quickest. You're going to discover real fucking quick that bitch voice. Sauna's the next, because ice bath's about, depending on where you're at, anywhere between getting the fuck into the water and then 3 minutes. Sauna is about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how hot it is. Weighted walk is usually about the 30, 35 minute mark. Again, if you've nailed the weight ratio for you, where you're currently at. But once you get into that place, you start going, fuck, I could slow down. Oh, I could pull over and rest. Or I could just bend over and take that weight off my shoulders. All these things start coming into your head. And you need to fucking override it. You need to shut that shit down. But because it doesn't shut off. It doesn't stop. You have to keep pushing forward. You have to find that willpower. You have to find that other gear, because you will want to slow down. You will want to stop the pain. You will be in the hurt locker, and you have to just mentally dig in and be like, no, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. Same pace, same consistency, just fucking going at it. And it's not easy, but that's how you test the willpower. That's also how you build willpower. You put yourself into that situation so that you have to figure out where you're at. So you have to figure out how much that bitch voice is overriding you. Can it convince you to stop? Can it convince you to have a rest? Can it convince you to just take a break? Or do you just shut it the fuck down and be like, I don't give a shit what you said. I am doing this. This is what I said. This was the decision I made. And once a decision is made, end of story. The plan is getting executed no matter what. And that's how you test yourself. And the same goes for weights. I think weights is the next one on top of that, because you get the double whammy in weights. One, it builds up over time. Over the workout, as you fatigue out, as you get further into it, especially leg day, motherfucking leg day, and you start getting jelly legs, and every rep's a bit harder, just standing there can be a little bit harder. Those kinds of things start to, eat away at your willpower, and you have to keep pushing forward. But also, in each set, especially if you're pushing to failure, if you're pushing into that upper limits of where your body can take you, which, if we're talking hypertrophy, is exactly where we want to get. If we're talking, HIIT, we want to push into that exhaustion point. That's what we're trying to work on. That's where we get our bang for our buck. But that's a different discussion. So you push into that, and on each set, if you're pushing to failure, how much more can you give? How many more reps do you have? How much more burn can you take? My favorite method, and this is the one I'm currently utilizing in hypertrophy, is, so I'll use a 6 to 8 rep range. I pick a weight that I'm going to fail anywhere between 6 and 8. If I comfortably get 8, the weight goes up. If I get 6 or less, the weight goes down. That's how I structure that. And then we use time under tension. So it's slow. It's not fucking jerking it through. It's not just bashing it out. It is slow. It is controlled. We're using probably, if I'm doing it optimally, and as I said, willpower plays a factor, but if I'm doing it optimally, we're probably going a 4-2-4-2 tempo. And it's slow, and it's controlled, and it's deep in that, and it's really keeping it really slow. And for those who aren't familiar with tempo on weightlifting, that means it's a 4 seconds up, it's a 2 second pause, and it's 4 seconds down and a 2 second pause. and it really pushes that limit of the body, and you are starting to get a buildup of lactic acid, and it's burning. And then at the end of whatever I've gotten to, in that maximum stretch position, bench is always the easy example. So down here at the maximum, right near the chest line, and I'm just quickly repping out like 10 reps in that really short range, and then I'm getting into a stretch, and I'm holding that stretch under tension right at the end. The lactic acid's burning and it's tearing it open, and every set is a test of willpower. Every set is finding out how much I fucking want it. And sometimes I have to chastise myself after a set, and I was like, that was fucking pathetic, and you have to get back in there and you have to do it again. But not only do I find this produces great hypertrophy and you get better results from it, but also it increases mobility, it increases strength, it increases all these kinds of things. It allows my body to function at a higher level. There are people who explain this in way better fucking detail than I ever could. But that's a great fucking way to figure out how to get into those kind of workouts. But as I said, every single set is a test of willpower. But then as the workout progresses, now we're testing the willpower even more. Now we're pushing it even more on this level. And we're discovering a lot about ourselves. We're discovering a lot about how much this means to us. We're discovering a lot about the willpower that we have available. And remember, it's a finite resource, but it is developed by doing this shit, by putting yourself into situations where you're taxing your willpower to the maximum and seeing where you come out the other side. And then lastly, you have fasting, which is A, the longest, and B, has the most amount of times where you're going to truly discover what matters to you. And fasting will depend on who you are, depend on where you're at, depend on what level you're at. Fasting could be just doing a 16-8, which means 16 hours of non-eating and an 8-hour eating window. The simplest way to look at that is probably just skipping breakfast, having lunch and dinner. Really simple, but for a lot of people, that becomes a full-on thing. It becomes a testing moment. Next would be like a 24-hour fast. I always recommend going dinner to dinner. Great thing, but you're starting to skip meals. You're starting to really question these life choices. You're missing things. And what you'll also discover, which I always find fascinating for people, is how much is habitual. How much of your eating is not hunger, is not you actually needing food, is not any of these things. It's just straight up habit. Because the next one will be that real test of that. Will be that gigantic test of habit versus need for food. Because what I find myself and many people who I've recommended doing fasting end up doing is that over time they feel better. They get energetic. That hunger disappears. They realize that it was cravings, that it was all in their head, that a lot of this wasn't real. So when you get into a 36-hour fast, now you're talking. When you skip a dinner, you're going to truly discover how much of your eating habits are habit. How much of that is ingrained in your habits of what you just do daily. Because it's weird. Like, I can be thriving on my fast, and I find that I get more energy. The longer I get into my fasts, the better I feel. I get energetic, things clear up, things just feel amazing. And I've been doing fasting for over a decade. It is one of my favorite things for health, for fat loss, for mental toughness, for willpower. But you'll find that you truly will have all these moments throughout the day, especially on a longer fast where you have to test it. And I find nothing tests your willpower like doing a 36-hour fast or longer. Because when you don't have dinner and you come home, there are all these things that are just habitual as fuck going, but it's fucking dinner time. This is when we eat. This is when we sit down and we have food. And you're like, fuck that. That's when you're going to learn and you're going to have this clash of the subconscious versus the conscious. What you've chosen to do, what is habitually built into you. And this is what we talk about when overcoming habits. This is why 126 to greatness is 126 days, because it takes 126 days to override a negative habit and replace it with a positive habit. It takes so much discipline and willpower to overcome those such ingrained life patterns. And you must do that. And as I said, when you get tired, when you get run down, when it's the end of the day, your willpower will be tested. And that's how we test it on. At the moment, I'm on halfway through day 3 of a 5-day fast. And a lot of people think that's crazy. And I've had people who are really close to me in life, and they're like, why would you do that? Whether you agree with it or not, the science or not, but I firmly believe that it has great fucking health benefits in terms of just cleansing you out, dealing with that, burning a shit ton of fat, all this kind of stuff. I think it is incredible for your system, and I always feel so much better when I fast regularly. And I find that my body responds better, and it deals with insulin sensitivity and all this kind of stuff. I think it is truly a truly phenomenal thing to do. But as always, this isn't medical advice. Speak to your doctor before you do it, even though they'll probably tell you not to do it, but speak to your doctor, not medical advice. Do not undertake this if you're not prepared for it. Especially don't start with a fucking 5-day fast, start simple. All that kind of stuff. All the disclaimers under the sun thrown at you right there. But especially on something like a 5-day fast, you get to a point around 2 days where you reach this almost spiritual, euphoric feeling. And the shifts in your body and your mental state and all this kind of stuff are just fucking astronomical. But as I said, there are so many moments of willpower testing. So many moments. I just had to go to Woolies. I had to go to the grocery store to buy things for my wife she needed. All the temptations under the sun. All of them there. FYI, never buy food while you're fucking fasting. Your mind will run away with the cravings on it. Willpower test right there. When other people are eating around you. Because I'm not going to force this on my kids. I'm not going to force this on my wife. They're going to eat food around me. Willpower testing, and also subconscious programming testing. Because generally what I do is I just finish off the food that my children eat. Because we all eat the same way. I just, I don't like wasting food. So I eat the food that they leave. No, got to put that aside. Someone else can eat that. That's just put aside for later. These moments will test your willpower. They'll test how much that you're ingrained in this. And as I said, this is why I rank them in this order. So you go ice bath first, then sauna, then weighted walk, then weights workout, then fasting. Because the different degrees of testing along the way. There is testing in not giving into the food. There's testing in not giving into the cravings. There's testing in not giving into habitual programming. There's testing in how you're feeling. There's testings in societal norms. There's all these fucking tests when you put in fasting, and you will find out how strong your willpower is. But as I said, there are also these moments of euphoric bliss, and they come with all of them. That you get these euphoric bliss moments when you instill and utilize that willpower. Did you know that exercise in general not only releases dopamine, but increases your capacity to release dopamine? So it makes you happier. It increases your capacity for joy and happiness. That's why, generally speaking, people who exercise more frequently are happier people. It's why exercise is actually a better antidepressant than fucking antidepressants, because it increases your capacity for joy. But you must instill willpower to get through that. And that's what all of these things do. It's why they make you happy. It's why when you overcome, you get this release of dopamine, this release of serotonin. You feel fucking happy. You feel great. It's where endorphins come from, because you get to choose how to release these endorphins into you, because you've overcome those base instincts that aren't serving you for comfort and sedation, and you've chosen to do something difficult, and you fucking won. That's how it improves every area of your life. Because, well, as we know, you must choose long-term satisfaction over instant gratification to be successful in life. And you must continue to do this, but you also get happier and you get greater joy out of life, and you get all these things from making these decisions. Whereas sedation does the opposite. It means you crave dopamine more. You need more and more and more and more and more. And it's why we get addicted to doom scrolling and porn and sugar and, spending money and TV and all these kinds of things, because you need more. Whereas the other ones allow you to have these euphoric moments that open you up for greater joy, open you up for greater capacity to push these things forward. And then comes the final test of willpower. And it's the one that will build it up the most. And it's picking one or all of them or a combination of anywhere in between and committing to doing these every single day for an extended period of time. The easiest place to start would be 30 days or 6 weeks. Or you can throw yourself into the fucking deep end and do it for 126 days. I don't mind what you pick. It'll come down to where you are, who you are, and what's going on in your life. But you want to build that discipline muscle. You want to build that willpower muscle. You want to become the greatest version of yourself. It's not only just testing it. It's not only just doing it. It's doing it so fucking consistently that it just is overpowering, that it just transforms every fucking area of your life. Because that's what you need to do. This isn't a one-time thing and look, wow, I have willpower, or hey, I've tested it this week, we're fucking good. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, but it needs to be done every day, because consistency is a different fucking animal, a different level of willpower. Showing up for 126 days in a row, doing something that is difficult every single fucking day, putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation, testing your willpower, because there will be ebbs and flows. You will have days where it's fucking low and you're tired and you get that shit done. Did you just increase the capacity for your willpower? And you have days where you feel amazing and you get it done. You are just reaffirming that this is who you are, that you have incredible, unbreakable willpower. And once you've established it, you can build on it and build on it and build on it. You can add things to it. It's why when we talk about chasing greatness daily, we start with a 6-week program, and it has my 5 main principles: the weighted walk, the weighted workout, drinking 4 liters of water, eating an animal-based diet, and taking a daily photo. It starts with those, and then we add the other things on top of it, because if you've already established your fucking willpower through that process, and then we build, and then we add to it, and now we push it forward, and now we truly test it, and we see how far you can fucking take this. That's how you change your life. That's how you get better, because you make a decision. You make a concrete, serious, honest to God decision that you need willpower in your life to be the greatest version of yourself. That is unquestionable. It cannot be debated. You need that. You need willpower. You need grit. You need determination. If you are going to succeed in fucking anything in your life, you need these things in your life. So why not start building it? Why not actively choose to do those things and push forward every single day to build that skill? And then you'll be shocked at how far it progresses in every area of your life. How suddenly you have it to transfer into everything you want to do. Suddenly you get better at fucking life. That's what we're talking about. That's what chasing greatness daily is about. It's about building that skill. And that fitness and exercise and all that kind of stuff is the gateway drug to that. It's why we start there and we build out from there. So if you're ready for that, if you are finally ready to take that step and to become the greatest version of yourself, to see who you can be on the other side of building that discipline muscle, shoot me a message. Let's start you with 6 weeks. Let's get you into chasing greatness daily and begin the process. If you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if it inspired you, if you gained insight from it, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. The majority of people who are watching these are not subscribed. But I'm here every single day, leading from the front, sharing from my examples, sharing from the examples of my guys that are going through this process, helping you avoid the pitfalls that I have made along the way. So make sure you don't miss a single one of these by hitting that subscribe button. But I'll be back in again tomorrow. Until then.